I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different, and every breakup is different. Work with me, and you'll get professional help on your situation. Just click on the link in the description below, or go to my website, askcraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about my ex won't respond to me. So, sometimes when we're going through a breakup, our ex can completely cut us off, and they will just vanish off the face of this earth. Now, sometimes it's because we behaved in a way where maybe we freaked out when they broke up with you, and maybe they felt like they had to disappear. Maybe you were stalking them, or you overreacted and freaked out, and maybe you got really angry at them or threatened them when you were upset. And people can do very irrational things when they're getting broken up with. It's terrifying, right? Because you're so scared, you can't think clearly. You're just in this fog. You don't remember what you said. You don't remember what they said. And you're just all over the place. And, sometimes we lose emotional self-control when we're in this state. Just this panic, a rage, irrational thoughts, fears. Maybe you say really mean or hurtful things. A lot of different things can happen in this kind of situation. But that's not always the case, okay, as you'll see in today's email. But, a lot of times what you guys are feeling is just tremendous amounts of anxiety where you can't soothe yourself. You don't know how to calm down, and you're stuck in this just state of anxiety where you just feel like death. And it's torture. It's literally torture. You'll stare at the phone for hours just waiting for them to text you. You'll stare at maybe Facebook looking to see when they're going to log in, or, all kinds of social media. You're stalking them, and your brain is just obsessed with reunifying with them and bonding with them again so you can feel safe again. But it can be really, really difficult if your ex won't respond to you. And, not saying that you should reach out, but sometimes there are situations where you're trying to, get in touch with them over something. Maybe it's a financial issue, or like you have to take care of things in a breakup. But also the timing has a lot to do with this too. Like, somebody can just abandon you out of nowhere, and then you're just like, what the hell happened? They ghost you, they vanish on you. It's absolutely terrible for people to treat each other like that. Quite honestly, there's no excuse for it, and there's no reason for it. You can be a decent human being. If you were in a committed relationship with somebody, they deserve at least the respect to have a nice sit-down conversation one-on-one like an adult. And unless, of course, there was like some violence or something like that. Of course, in that situation, they shouldn't have to talk to you about that. But, in most situations, it's probably, fairly accurate to say that if you're in a committed relationship with somebody, that you should act like an adult on the way out and be respectful that that person is going to have feelings, right? So, I got an email today from Lauren, who is 28 years old, and her boyfriend is 34. She writes, "Hi Craig, so first off, I want to thank you. It is so obvious to me that you put incredible thought into your videos every day, and I get excited as soon as I see you have a new one. I even love the song at the intro. Sometimes it gets stuck in my head." You're the first person that's actually ever said that. Actually, I like that little intro song too. But it's funny because nobody's ever told me they got the song stuck in their head before. I'm curious if that happens to you guys. I like that little song. It's a happy little song. That's why I picked it. "I seriously can tell you that from the bottom of my heart, if it wasn't for you, my life would be unbearable. You're incredibly understanding, sincere, and are able to find humor when we need it most. I love your terrible jokes. Is that a compliment? Really? That's a compliment? You started off so good, and now we're down to your terrible jokes. I love your terrible jokes. Oh, she made up. And your handsome face. All right. You redeemed yourself. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm extremely excited to do a Skype coaching with you soon. So she goes on to say, my heart is absolutely broken right now, and I'm feeling the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. My boyfriend of 3 years left me. I thought we were happy together, but apparently he is fearing commitment. He still wouldn't get a place with me and tell me that he didn't want to live with me until he got married. He knows I have been wanting to get engaged, and I think it's scaring him. I try not to pressure him, but he does know how I want a family with him. He is a good man, but he's not very bright. He's not very bright, huh? That makes me think of Forrest Gump. Were you dating Forrest Gump? I'm not a bright man. That was terrible. What was I doing? I don't even know why that came out. I apologize for that. I could do some impressions, but Forrest Gump is not one of them. I could do like Smeagol, like from Lord of the Rings, like, "You filthy fat hobbitses, me hate you." That was pretty good. That was a pretty good Smeagol. I could do a Yoda, but I'll save that for another day. He makes rash decisions all the time, and I have had to work very hard to keep him grounded. He quits jobs when he's frustrated and tends to be stubborn. He gets angry quickly, and I think it's because he doesn't know how to communicate how he feels. That sounds pretty accurate. We broke up around Valentine's Day. I could tell the week before Valentine's Day he was irritable. One evening I said, "What shall we do for Valentine's Day, my love?" He said in a very angry tone, "You know I'm not gonna propose, don't you?" That was cold. That was brutal. And it came totally out of left field, right? Like, you're just like, what should we do for Valentine's Day? And he says, "You know I'm not going to propose, don't you?" That's rough. My heart sunk. I didn't think he was going to propose, but the way he said it hurt me so badly. I started crying, but I tried to hide it. Yeah, I bet. That was brutal. Obviously, something had been building up inside of him. He had been thinking about it for some time, and it just lashed out. Had he talked to you and communicated with you about what was bothering him, it wouldn't have come out so cruel, but that was pretty vicious. He stood up and said, "I'm leaving." I texted him several times asking him if he was okay. He wouldn't answer. I was beyond crushed. He texted me one time a few days later saying, "I can't do this. I'm sorry." The crazy thing is that his father did almost the exact same thing to his mother. Wow. Right? That's an unresolved trauma. The unconscious will repeat itself. That's what happens with trauma. We unconsciously act it out over and over again in an effort to understand it. And so, he didn't deal with that in his past, in his childhood, whenever it happened. And so, he likely, ready for this? He likely unconsciously did what his father did in an effort to understand why his father did it. That's some deep stuff for you right there. Right? Think about it. But that is how trauma works. This is why I always tell you guys, you have to talk about it. You have to deal with your issues. If you don't, stuff like this comes out, stuff years later. And believe me, sometimes you have traumas that you don't even remember. Our brain is incredibly powerful, and we repress things for 20, 30, 40 years. You can repress it, and then you start having flashbacks out of nowhere, night terrors. You're waking up all the time, it's cold sweats, and it's because you have some unresolved trauma. Alright. She says, I tried calling him several times and texting him a few times asking him to talk, and he won't even reply. Ooh, that's rough. I really don't think he is dating anyone else. I really don't know what to do. Should I go by his house and try to talk with him? Please help. Wow, that is rough. That is a really rough one, because one minute you think things are okay, and the next second he's just gone and he won't even talk to you. That is absolutely horrible and so cruel. That's just so cruel to do to somebody. And, you know, whether or not you want to ever forgive him for it is up to you. I know you still love him, but if he does it once and he doesn't deal with his issues, he could do it again next time when you got 3 kids, right? So you need to think long and hard before you ever consider taking this guy back. And you need to make sure he does the work, because he's definitely got some unresolved trauma here, and if he doesn't deal with it, it's going to happen again. Okay? Like I said, the unresolved will be repeated. Okay? Alright. So, she said, she was asking, should she go by his house and talk to him? I don't think so. I don't think you should do it, as tempting as it is and as difficult as it is, because I know you're dying inside and you want a resolution. You want to talk to him. You want to try and convince him to talk with you. And I think at some point you're going to regret his behavior, because it doesn't sound like, you know, you guys had a bad relationship or that you guys were fighting or anything like that. And so I'm sure at some point he's going to start to think clearly. But when that's going to happen, I don't know. Believe it or not, sometimes people can snap like this and, you know, like go years where they just stop talking to friends and family. I've seen it with a friend of mine who did something like this. Not because of a breakup, but just completely cut everybody off in his family. And, you know, you can't force him. As much as you're dying inside to go over there and bang on his door, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not going to help anything. You're going to try and force him for answers that he's simply not ready to give you. And I'm sorry, because you really didn't deserve this to happen to you. But sometimes people do things like this, and it's horrible. I know it's horrible. And, you know, there's no excuse for what he's doing. But if you try and force him to sit down and talk with you about it, he's just going to make up excuses. He's going to try and avoid you. Until he's ready to talk about it and deal with it, you're just going to have to be strong and deal with this on your own. Obviously, we're going to be talking about this, and you'll feel a lot better once we talk about this in a Skype. And you get this off your chest, because this is just a terrible situation. And guys, I know how difficult it can be when your ex just won't respond to you. And you can't force them. You can't force them to respond to you. You can't force anybody to do something they don't want to do. And if they're going to be that disrespectful and mean or cruel to you, you need to think long and hard before you ever consider getting back in a romantic relationship with them, because I think it shows a lot about their character. So, if you want to get my help personally, go to my website, AskCraig.net. Sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. If you like the video, put a like on there. I do appreciate it. And be sure to subscribe to the channel, because I do post videos Monday through Friday. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.